Peace be with you. I am Bruce Wozniak. This is Catholic Sports Radio, located at the intersection of your faith life and sports life, and on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and lots of other platforms. Thanks so much for joining me for this and hopefully many other episodes. The show website is catholicsportsradio.net, which has everything from a built-in player to hear each episode there, links to various podcast platforms where you can listen and subscribe/follow, logos to click on to follow the show on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram, as well as join the Facebook group. Plus, the website has a bio about me and even an area called For Listeners, where you can submit prayer requests. The website was built by a company called Vincent-St Marketing Group, and if you are someone who has need for a website and you say, I'm just going to make one myself, I found a site where I can do it for free, or I'm going to get on Fiverr and I'm going to have somebody do it for next to nothing, always remember that in life, if it's that cheap or that free, it's probably going to look like it was that cheap or that free. This is a good opportunity for the old, you only have one chance to make a good first impression, meaning your website, whatever that is for, your business, your product, or your service. And I love the first impression that I know that people get when they go to catholicsportsradio.net because of the great job that Vincent-St Marketing Group did. So if you have the need for a website, or if someone that you know has a need for a website, get onto catholicsportsradio.net and click on one of the Vincent-St Marketing Group ads to get taken over to their website. Get in touch with them and let them know that you heard about them on Catholic Sports Radio. Now on to my ministry moment for this episode. Fear is a thing in sports, isn't it? Intimidation. Think of a baseball pitcher staring down a batter, a defensive lineman in football who has the quarterback in his sights wanting to sack him, the hockey player that is known as the enforcer on the team, a boxer, of course, who wants nothing more than to knock his opponent out, or similarly, a MMA fighter who wants to put his or her opponent in a submission hold to get them to tap out. In all of these situations, plus others from different sports that I did not mention, the result is an athlete being scared. But the dynamic we should be focused on first is our relationship with our Heavenly Father. And if we look to the Old Testament, there is mention of fear in Psalm 34. Specifically, we read, "Fear the Lord, you his holy ones. Nothing is lacking to those who fear him. The rich grow poor and go hungry, but those who seek the Lord lack no good thing." So friends, let us joyfully pursue God the Father with the patron saint of athletes, Saint Sebastian, as our guide. Moving on now with this week's episode, my guest is the Assistant Athletic Director, Head Girls Basketball Coach, and Summer Camps Director at St. Vincent-St. Mary High School in Akron, Ohio. She is also the founder of IAmHer Basketball and had attended Kent State, where she played club soccer for 4 years, having been captain/manager for 3. During that same time, she was driving back and forth every day to coach at St. Vincent-St. Mary, where she had been a 3-sport athlete, earning 11 letters, 4 in soccer, 4 in softball, and 3 in basketball. She was an All-Ohio soccer player during her high school years as well. Welcome to Catholic Sports Radio, Carley Whitney.
Hey, Bruce, how are you?
Great, Carley. Thank you for doing this.
No problem. Anytime. Looking forward to it.
Awesome. I know that you were raised Catholic, and I mentioned in the intro that you attended the very high school that you currently work at. Mm-hmm. But what about your younger years before high school? Did you attend Catholic school then? And if not, what was the source of your Catholic education?
I did. I attended St. Sebastian Grade School on the west side of Akron. I started there in kindergarten. I am a St. Sebastian parishioner, grew up there, still a parishioner. Went to St. Vincent-St. Mary High School, so I've been a product of Catholic education my entire life.
Wow.
Played CYO sports, played for St. Sebastian. My dad's in the choir. My mom does a lot of things for the church as well. It's not a funny story, but my dad I'm the youngest of 4 children. My dad made a consistent tuition payment to St. Sebastian for like 25 consecutive years. My sister is 16 years older than me. So there was always a kid at St. Sebastian at some point in our life, her being the oldest, me being the youngest, and my 2 brothers in between. And now I have 8 nieces and nephews at St. Sebastian as well.
Wow.
I think they take up every grade from preschool to the 7th grade. So, it's just St. Sebastian is in me. I grew up down the street from it. I'd walk to school with all the area girls around. I played CYO sports. I was raised Catholic. I'm still Catholic. I'm practicing Catholic as well in my adult years. So
outstanding.
I guess when you say, how does my Catholic faith play a role? I guess it's not so much a role, it's a part of me, and we use that here at St. Vincent-St. Mary as well. So yeah.
Yeah. Wow. And it's quite a rare thing, or at least it seems, in my opinion, that you talk to someone who is in their adult life and is still going to the parish connected to the Catholic school that they went to as a youngster. So very unique and a great start to this episode. You mentioned in there about your family size, your immediate family, brothers and sisters, that kind of thing. Was it a real sports-filled household, or was it just you with all that you did athletically?
Oh, no. I grew up watching sports. I have a very, very athletic family. I grew up, when I was born, my sister was a sophomore at St. Vincent-St. Mary in the early 90s. I grew up watching, John Stone. I was a little girl in the cheerleading uniform at football games in the end zone playing with the boys. My brothers were football players. My brother was an all-Ohio football player, linebacker here at St. Vincent-St. Mary as well. My brother played baseball at Kent State. So
wow.
My sister is an ex-professional mountain biker. She's retired. She rode for Gary Fisher. And she rode her bike all over the nation. So we are an athletic bunch. My brother coaches Pee Wee football. It's in us. I'm throwing footballs in the backyard with my nephews, and it was what we saw. It's what we did. It's how we stayed active. I was blessed to have parents that threw me in sports, and I was playing travel basketball and travel soccer. And I was not a Girl Scout. I was not a Brownie Scout. I played sports, so I chose soccer over brownies. I think I was like the only girl at St. Sebastian that chose that. So, it's who we are. My dad coached me in basketball. My friend's dad coached me in soccer. I played high-level sports most of my life. So, it's who we are. It's more of a lifestyle at this point, I guess you could say.
Yeah, it sure sounds like it. Wow. And before I forget to mention, for the folks that did not hear it, back in September on episode 138, I interviewed Lou Holtz, who the connection there is that he attended Kent State. So as much as he's always associated with Notre Dame, he did attend Kent State. So folks, if you never heard that episode of Catholic Sports Radio, go back and listen to it. And meanwhile, Carley, I mentioned in the intro that in high school you earned 11 letters across 3 sports.
It is.
At that point in your life, were you thinking sports as a full-time career, or was it, no, I was just very athletically inclined and I simply enjoyed competing in different sports, that's it?
I was athletically inclined from a very young age. I was well ahead of the curve. I always played up. High school, it was, it's what I wanted to do. It was my life. I had aspirations of playing college sports. They didn't really shake out for me. So I started playing club soccer at Kent State as a way to, keep my passion going. When I graduated, I started coaching right away. I started coaching the summer league for Joe Jakubik at the time, who was the head coach right when I graduated from high school. So playing sports for me was not only a way to socialize, to create friendships, but also, when you come from a small bubble like me, I grew up in the same neighborhood, went to St. Sebastian, went to St. B. We're all in a 3-mile radius. When I went to Kent State, it was still slightly local for me, but all new people, right? So having the sports connection really allowed me to create bonds that I still have to this day. And I was still very good. I was an all-Ohio soccer player, and I was really good in high school, and I was on really good teams when we were in high school. So I needed something to do. The hardest part about not playing sports is not playing sports anymore. You thrive in that team scenario, and I needed that to balance me out. I still do. So I started playing soccer, loved it, started as a freshman on the club team, took over the program. So interesting thing about Kent State, and Mr. Bailey, if he's answering. He kind of set me up. I actually went to Kent State as a business administration degree with a minor in accounting because I'm good at math, believe it or not. Not anymore. I was then. And if you would have told me that I would be working at my old high school when I was 18, I probably would have called you a liar. Not that I didn't love it, but that club soccer experience, I knew I loved sports. But after that first year in club soccer, going into my sophomore year, he recruited me to be the manager. I kind of knew I was going to be a captain because everybody was graduating. So being a manager, it was the director of operations job. So I had to meet with him in the summer, go over the budget. I had to schedule our games, our non-conference games. We're going to Ohio State, we're going to Michigan State, we're going to Michigan, we're going to Penn State, we're going to Dayton, Akron, we're going to all these places. I had to get my van license to drive kids. I had to get my CPR card. I was basically the coach and the captain and the manager. So I was a director of operations. So that kind of got me on a whole nother aspect of what being on a team was. So I was doing that, coaching, being an assistant JV, assistant varsity coach at St. Vincent-St. Mary. And then my career just kind of evolved. Like I was still going down the accounting track, but I didn't love it. I loved coaching. It took me, some time to really understand what it meant to be a coach, not a basketball player. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And to relate to the game in different ways because you're not playing anymore.
Yeah, but let me jump in for a minute, though, because there's something that you just said in there that I want to go back to because you glossed over it so quickly, but yet I wonder what was the pull at St. Vincent-St. Mary that you were willing to drive back and forth every day to coach there while you were attending and playing club soccer at Kent State? I mean, was being in a Catholic environment at all a part of that decision to make that drive back and forth every day?
I mean, looking back on it now, it is. Then I didn't know that. I'll be completely honest with you. St. Vincent-St. Mary High School is in me. I do not coach or work here because I just like to coach. I believe in this institution. It's been good to me. I have never left it. I was born here. My mom worked in the bookstore. My sister was a sophomore. I was born here. It is my home away from home. I believe in the product. I believe in the kids. And I would never, ever coach at another high school. I would move on with my life.
Okay.
I don't do this for me. I'm here by choice.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I could be doing other things. So at that point in my life, it made no other sense. I didn't have a connection anywhere else.
Okay.
I didn't feel a connection.
Okay.
Joe Jakubik kept me close, but as I venture through my career, being St. Vincent-St. Mary High School has allowed me to innately be myself, to live my faith, to talk about faith, to use it as a tool and a vehicle to ingrain faith in sports. At public schools, you can't really do that.
Yeah.
It allows you to get deeper. It allows you to get deeper with kids and deeper with yourself. So I guess the pull for me was natural. It was organic. Joe Jakubik kept me close. You know what I mean? And it was just, it felt good to me. I don't have a connection with anywhere else. You know what I mean? It almost felt like cheating on somebody. You know what I mean? So yeah, it was, that's what it was for me. So looking back on it now, faith played a large role in it. But before, I honestly don't know if I could answer that question for you.
Yeah.
Besides, it's who I am.
Yeah, yeah. Well, there's a point in time that I think we need to enlighten the audience about, and it's around everything that you just said. In 2014, you took over the program at St. Vincent-St. Mary and were named Assistant Athletic Director all in the same year that also y'all had gone to state and lost by 1 point in the state semifinal.
Yeah.
I would think that with that kind of whirlwind of activity, it would be easy to be so focused on really getting your professional career established that your faith life could easily be pushed onto the back burner. Was that the case? And if not, how did you make sure to stay active in your Catholic faith in what was a very, very busy year for you?
I have a strong foundation. I was raised in a Catholic household where your rent payment was going to church on Sunday. There was no expectation. You didn't sleep in. That was an expectation. If you lived at home, you were getting up and going. When I moved out, It was, did you go to church today? You know, my parents are a firm believer in the institution of church. So I've always had that. I was, you know, living at my parents' house at the time. And, you know, I think that young people, and especially high schools and early college kids, you know, they do what they see and they repeat what they hear. So seeing my parents live that out and my siblings, you know, there was no other option for me.
Okay.
So when I was 25, Joe Jakubik, he stepped down. He took another position coaching his son actually in Mansfield. We just got off a state run, lost a state semifinal heartbreaker. Could be 1 or 2 points. We lost in overtime. And the team that beat us went on to win the state championship. So, you know, about 2 weeks after that, he comes in my office, and I was working at St. B at the time, and told me he was going in another direction. You know, obviously I'm devastated, but to lose him, but it's time for me to, you know, evolve. And I had to interview like everybody else. I obtained the job. They offered me the assistant athletic director position. It was very overwhelming. You know what I mean? It was a lot. It was a big change in my life. It was a completely like upheaval in my life.
I'm sure.
One thing that you wouldn't know is that I also on that same day, the offer I put in on an actual home got accepted too. So I had 3 things, you know, completely changed my life in the matter. I woke up at 8 a.m. and by 3 p.m., you know, my whole life was different.
Wow.
So, you know, I've always been one to kind of give it to God. I live my faith in my own unique way. It's a part of me and my program. You know, I'm the person that before games, I go sit in the church parking lot. I have my quiet time inside the church before every game. I actually leave St. V and go to St. Sebastian and do that. That's probably something that people don't know about me. My kids go to the chapel before every game and have activities in there too. So I believe it's who you are. It's somewhere deep inside of you. Some people have it more than you. I was fortunate to be raised in a family where that was present and very alive. I think that, you know, when you have large changes in your life like that, that is God. You know, I was being prepared every step of the way, you know, physically and spiritually. I think that, you know, God only gives you what you can handle. And he was preparing me for that moment, and has for the last 8 years. Joe Jakubik prepared me for that moment too. And I was in a place that allowed me to organically be myself. You know, that helps too. And they trust me, and I'm just the caretaker of a program, you know. That's what I do. I'm not really a coach. I'm just a caretaker. So I'm trying to make, you know, young women better than how they came to me. I also think that's kind of God's work. Like, you don't get paid enough for all the hours you put in. You know, you get paid in heaven points, hopefully. So, you know, it's just at that specific time in my life, there was a lot of change, and I think that a lot of that change came from above me, honestly.
Well, back up for a few minutes. You said my kids will even go in the chapel. My wife is a teacher, and she will often refer to her students as my kids. And I say, are you talking about your son and daughter or your students? So in that case, when you said my kids will go in the chapel, was that a reference to students or to...
Oh, my team.
Okay.
I don't have any children.
Okay.
Yeah, my team.
Okay.
So for the past 8 years, and we even did that when I was here too, the chapel, we have a walkthrough, which is kind of like a scouting report item. And then the team goes into the chapel before every game, and they pray together, and they... do the best part of your day. We do best part of your day. Who do you want to pray for? Something positive that happened to you today. They do a little activity. They read a Bible verse. We have a little reflection.
Awesome.
I give a couple of words, and then we get on the bus or we go back for a home game. So,
wow. That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's something that people don't really know.
And Carley is living her witness publicly on her Instagram account. There is even a reference to, you have there, Carley, it says Matthew 12:30 as part of your Instagram bio, which is great to see.
Yeah. Yeah. Matthew 12:30, if you're not familiar, is, you know, he who is not with me is against me, and he who does not gather with me scatters. So that is actually the slogan of our basketball team this year. I pick a slogan, something simple. It goes on the backs of their shirts. Basically just kind of saying, you know, like, everybody that we need is in the room. And if you're not a part of our mission or our goal for year end or if you're not going to believe in what we do, scatter. There's always going to be somebody around the corner who doesn't believe or tries to, tear you down for some reason.
Yeah.
The devil's everywhere.
Yeah.
So just trying to keep the girls focused to our mission, but also include our faith a little bit.
Outstanding.
And expand upon things that we do here.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. And in the lead up to today, Carley told me, quote, "Basketball is a ministry for me. I do not do this for myself. This is about relationships and life lessons," end quote. And similarly, folks, I hope that you are listening to this show regularly, that you have hit the subscribe or the follow button wherever you listen to podcasts, and that it's helping you in your faith life. It's important to me that you know that, just like Carley says about basketball, this is a ministry for me. It's something I felt God call me to do. I mentioned last week that I think that on the first ever episode of this show, I might have told the story about being on a riverboat in Brazil on the Amazon River and hearing my calling to this type of ministry, meaning serving God through the mix of faith and sports. It's something I'm still really humbled by and blessed to be able to do for you week in and week out for well over 2.5 years now. I'm also honest enough to admit that the costs that come with doing everything involved in running Catholic Sports Radio do get quite challenging for me, since I'm the only one doing all this and I don't get any income from it, nor do I have any sponsors yet. ? You've heard in the past when I've publicly thanked listeners and guests who have made a financial contribution to Catholic Sports Radio, which is a tremendous help to me as it relates to the expenses that add up quickly. I also talk about how much I love the job that Merchantside Marketing Group did in building the website, and that includes the Donate to CSR button that they have on there to make it fast and easy for you to contribute securely online in any amount you wish. There's no drop-down menu of amounts to choose from. You put in whatever you're comfortable with. Maybe that's $20 that you can help me with, which happens to be the amount that I have to pay each month to the podcast hosting company. Maybe it's $50, $100, more than that. Just please prayerfully consider what you can do for this ministry in terms of financial support to help me offset the many expenses that I have to otherwise find a way to take on my own. Instead of doing it online, by the way, electronically through the website, some folks have opted instead to get in touch with me through the contact section of the website to ask for the mailing address, and then I personally write you back with the details on where you can send a check if you prefer to do that. I'm grateful to everyone who listens to the show and would most appreciate your considering Catholic Sports Radio as part of your tithing as I continue working to use this ministry to bring more people closer to Christ. Carley, let's go back to that statement from you that I just read before all that. Again, you said, quote, "Basketball is a ministry for me. I do not do this for myself. This is about relationships and life lessons," end quote. Talk about all that.
One of my biggest mentors in life is Coach Drew Joyce. He is our men's basketball coach here. He is a complete and total genius. He has the innate ability to bring young men together for a common goal. He is also a man that walks by faith. He has really, from day one, taken me under his wing, which I'm eternally grateful for. And he's a great testament to, we are impacting kids' lives at a very, very, fragile part of their life. What do they say? Is a coach impacts more lives in one season than most people do in one whole year. So to me, it's, when you coach at a place like St. Vincent-St. Mary, you have all different walks of life, not only racially, demographically, but also personality-wise, and everything. We have kids of preachers, we have doctors' kids, we have kids that live on one side of town, the other side of town. You have them all. So to me, it's basketball is a vehicle. It's not a parking spot. And if you don't connect with these kids in an interpersonable way, they won't perform for you. This generation is different than me, than generations before me. This group lives in an electronic world where everything is based upon likes. And, they can't even have conversations with people. They text and they like and they TikTok and all this other stuff. So my job as a coach is to prepare them for life, basketball. And I just told them yesterday at practice, this is the funnest part of your life. Real life is hard. Practice shouldn't be hard. It should be fun. Paying bills is hard. Death is hard. Getting older is hard. Parents dying is hard. So this is the best part of your life. So to answer your question is when I say it's a ministry is that I'm doing this for these kids. I want them to, not only be great basketball players, which is the obvious, but also, be great women, be great spouses, great partners, great doctors, lawyers, whatever you want to be, teachers. If you want to do hair for a living, be great at it. Hopefully there are some conversations, some situations that happen to you in my program that will prepare you for that, because that's what sports did for me.
Yeah.
I check their grades. Working in the building, and if there's an issue, they don't even call home anymore. They call me. So just trying to make them well-rounded.
Yeah.
And ready for life, ready for college basketball, ready to be a mom, ready for, the roller coaster that life throws at you.
Yeah.
That's what people don't see. I think that people see team shoes and uniforms and game day and the glitz and glamour, but they don't see like the grind every day. I'm with these kids from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. All day long. So hopefully they can leave here better than they came. That's my goal. Leave here with some sense and some determination and some confidence to do something at their next stop in life.
Yeah,
so
I like
when
it.
I say it's a ministry, that's what I mean.
Yeah, I like it. I like it. I'm going to be Captain Obvious here, but how much of a difference does it make being at a Catholic high school instead of trying to have basketball be a ministry for you, but perhaps having to do so in the context of, say, a public high school where there would probably be lots of restrictions on what you could or couldn't say or do?
At this point in my life, it'd probably be hard for me to go to a public environment only because of the things that I've incorporated and been allowed to in my program. But I think that regardless of your educational system, there's great public schools out there. You know what I mean? Sometimes Catholic education isn't an option for people, and that's okay. You know what I mean? Unfortunately, they either don't have the means or the way to get there. You know what I mean? So that's not people's fault to me. And what educational system they use. I'm just blessed that that's an option for the kids in my area to come here. Just St. Vincent-St. Mary. I am a Catholic woman who is a faith-filled person who is allowed to use their faith as a tool. If that wasn't who I am, that might be different. If I was in another scenario where I was at a public school, that might be different. I still think that I could do some of the same things.
Gotcha.
Just not as faith-based.
Gotcha.
So, it helps. I also have students who believe in what we do. And I also, too, have to respect everybody else's faiths. You know what I mean? We are the melting pot over here. So I have kids that come from all different walks of life and how they see God and what they believe in, and things are different. So those are conversations we have in week one, because just because I'm Catholic, not everyone on my team is Catholic.
Yeah. And just because it's a Catholic school doesn't mean that every student who attends is Catholic. So it is a very valid point to make, and it's nice to hear that it's something that you address right from day one so that they realize that you realize that. But then I wonder, thinking about two of the different hats that you wear, is there a reason why it would be different when a student athlete would be talking one-on-one with Coach Whitney versus Assistant Athletic Director Whitney, meaning in the context of trying to talk one-on-one from a spiritual standpoint? Is there maybe that fear element, getting back to the ministry moment segment that I did at the start of this episode, when it's, oh my gosh, this is my coach?
I think the relationship part comes different. I can have a little more free conversations with my players because I know them better. They know me. You know what I mean? Athletic director Carley probably has a little bit more of a wall up, a little bit more of a boundary, only because I'm an administrator at school. You know what I mean? And I'm open to all kids in all walks of life. I don't have direct contact with a lot of those other kids in other sports because I'm not with them every day.
Okay.
Do I know them? Yeah, they probably know me in a different way. There's probably a little bit of an intimidation factor out there, because I am in this bigger, I'm a little intense, a little passionate, a little direct, I guess you could say, which maybe kids aren't used to. I'm a little bit different in that way. But Coach Carley, I guess, is a little bit more candid. have the ability to maybe get a little bit deeper. I can, hear both sides of the fence. You know what I mean? It's not so much that she's a different person. It's just that's when that relationship factor comes into play.
I see. And I'm glad you explained that, because I had it wrong. I had it flipped. I had someone being afraid to go to their coach on something that, hey, this is actually kind of outside the lines of basketball, no pun intended, but you're right. It's probably that looking up to someone as an administrator and having that little bit of intimidation and the lack of relationship.
Yeah.
But similar question though, is it very much a different dynamic when you're wearing the summer camps director hat and it doesn't feel so formal in the part of the school year structure? And for that matter, are you forced to do less ministry work then? Because as you're saying, maybe the camps are open to the community and you do have people from different faiths or maybe no faith registering.
No. So I'm the summer camp director. So I logistically manage and operate summer camps for all the sports and all the extracurricular activities. So I just kind of do like the in-house type of stuff for them, registration, plan the camp, marketing, stuff like that, and work the camps for them. Within my own camp, I run my camps just like I run my program. You're getting a taste of what we do. We pray before everything. We get a huddle. We do a quick thing. We go around, peek and pit of your day. We say a quick prayer. We link arms. I'm not going to do something different for the youth than what I do for my own kids. I'm not fake like that.
Wonderful.
Same thing with Coach Drew. I can only speak for the programs that I'm intimately close to. But that's an opportunity for you to not showcase, but if you're going to come to my camp, I'm going to treat you just like I treat my high school kids. So I don't do something different just because they're maybe from the community. They're gonna understand what it is that we do on a daily basis.
That's fantastic. Well, before we close, I do want to give you a chance to talk about IAmHer Basketball.
Yeah.
Share with the audience what that entails. I mentioned in the intro that you are the founder of IAmHer Basketball.
It's very new and fresh. There's other things coming out. In my role, I've noticed a need in our community where there's not really a whole lot for girls to do. And it's not a trainer's fault or anybody's fault, but everything that we do around here from a basketball perspective is boys-based, or just boys dominant or heavy. I've had the pleasure of joining forces with SMAC AAU, which is a girl and boy, but I'm on the girl side, travel basketball kind of organization. I coach some teams, and even when I get out further than the city of Akron, there's still not a whole lot for girls to do. And one thing that we do in my program is we talk a lot about confidence and kind of female empowerment. You know what I mean? Like, I'm by no means, gender biased, but I think that there's something to be said about young girls turning into women and having strong female role models to help them lead the way. When I was coming up, all the coaches were men. And not all of them, but around me. So it's trying to get females invested in sports arena, specifically basketball, that can be good role models, offering, camps and clinics and training sessions, using basketball as the vehicle, but it's also more of a lifestyle. It's more of a, I am her. I'm confident, like wherever I go, I am her. You know what I mean? Instilling confidence in our community while filling a need that's basketball oriented, using my connections with other females to be those like trailblazers in this community for that. Not that there aren't great men coaches out there, and it's not so much coaches, it's just more of a female movement, and filling some of those gaps between women, young ladies turning into women, and just noticing, that there are great female coaches out there and role models or college basketball players that are living in your area, and just bringing them back in. So when I say, I want them to, be better people, what does that look like? So, here's a judge that comes in, or a lawyer or a doctor or a mom, So there's more to be determined on that. I'm in the infant stages of that, Bruce, honestly. It's something that I'm putting together and hasn't really launched yet, but there's definite conversations and behind the scenes work that's going into all of this, so I'm excited about it.
Sure. Yeah, fantastic initiative nonetheless. And before we do close, as you've gained audience from this episode, Carley is all about the people that she works with and not about herself, but I do want to recognize her. She was the first female athletic administrator in school history, and this year she did reach the 100 career wins plateau. So congratulations, Carley, on both of those. And more importantly, thank you for your devotion to the Catholic faith, your devotion to serving the student athletes that you work with, and of course, thank you for making time to be on Catholic Sports Radio.
Absolutely, Bruce. Anytime. It was a pleasure.
The listeners, this week we are going to close with a prayer that we haven't done in a little bit, and I chose this one in particular because, as you remember, at the end of my ministry moment, I suggested that we pursue God the Father with the patron saint of athletes, St. Sebastian, as our guide. So for this week's closing prayer, let's do the prayer to St. Sebastian, and of course do it in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Dear Commander at the Roman Emperor's court, you chose to be also a soldier of Christ and dared to spread faith in the King of Kings, for which you were condemned to die. Your body, however, proved athletically strong and the executing arrows extremely weak. So another means to kill you was chosen, and you gave your life to the Lord. May athletes be always as strong in their faith as their patron saint so clearly has been. Amen. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Thanks so much for listening. This is Catholic Sports Radio. Find more at CatholicSportsRadio.net, as well as on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. It is at Cath Sports Radio on all those, CATH, at Cath Sports Radio. I'm Bruce Wozniak, and remember, it's not whether you win or lose, it's that it's Jesus that you always choose.